What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Marcus McCoy. I'm your host, Marcus McCoy, and today we're going to bring you guys a worthwhile, wonderful show. We're going to be talking about breaking the stigma of mental illness and issues that deal with mental illness. I thought this was kind of fitting. You know, it's November. We're getting into the holidays, November, December. Normally, these are tough times of the year for different people. But without any further ado, I would like to introduce our guest, Mr. Thaddeus Tober. He is the CEO of Discerning Minds Consultants, and he's going to shed some great insight on mental illness, and we're just going to go ahead and dive in. First of all, thank you for being on the show.
I'm good, brother. Appreciate you for having me.
Anytime. Tell the listeners about yourself.
All right. Obviously, Thaddeus Tober, licensed professional counselor. Born and raised Houston, Texas. Actually practicing still right here in Houston, Texas. Third Ward native, product of Jack Yates, product of Prairie View, Sam Houston State University, and obviously, like member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated by way of New Phi chapter right here in Houston, Texas. This I call this my ministry. This is my passion. I come to the table with a great deal of enthusiasm and energy with discussing mental health. You know, this was something that was a stigma in my household. You know, something that we really didn't do. We didn't talk about these things. So, at a certain point in my life, after graduating from Prairie View, I decided to answer the call or whatnot, being in a juvenile facility, all predominantly black young men, but not enough young men or men in particular to be able to help with therapeutic interventions and things. So I answered that call, and here I am.
That's awesome. You mentioned answering the call, which is kind of dives into the next piece I was going to ask you. So how did exactly? I know you previously mentioned in some sorts, but like how did you actually get into this particular profession?
So 2015, I graduated from Prairie View with my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. It was a lot of emphasis on juvenile justice. I was working as a juvenile supervision officer at Harris County Juvenile Probation. Um, in the facility where I worked, it was an open dorm setting, so meaning no cells. So within the open dorm, I was responsible for 12 juveniles at one time. If it was a double unit setting, it was 24-2 ratio or whatnot. So with that in mind, I'm like, had to be on point with the mouthpiece with being able to give verbal redirections, or if not, it was going to be a long day. And one of the residents in particular, one night under my watch, I noticed he was just staring at the ceiling. A lot of the kids were asleep or just laying there quietly to themselves, reading possibly. And I asked him what was going on, and he said, "Hey, man, for this place to be called a rehabilitation center, I'm not leaving here feeling as rehabilitated as I thought I would be. I'm afraid of what's going to happen when I get back into the free. Maybe I'm gonna go into the prison system. Maybe I'm gonna die." I was excited to go home at first. Now I'm not, but I'm confident on the other hand because you personally helped me on a lot of things that I couldn't see before, and that's that young man's story and other young men that I encountered in that facility. I took it upon myself as a charge, like a actual personal charge or whatnot, a challenge to say, "Hey, you needed it. This is something that these young men need. Why not go out and make that happen?" So from that day on in that juvenile facility, I had made it my personal business to become a black male counselor, to become a counselor for my community.
Man, I love how you frame it about making it a charge, right? And me and you, we kind of had a couple conversations about it. Is where I feel that right, like right now in this stage of our lives, we must be advocates, active advocates for mental illness, especially like in the Black community. I'm not saying it's a knock on any other community, but we know that our children, both male and female, are being incarcerated at a higher rate. The numbers don't lie. You mentioned working at that juvenile facility. I know I told you earlier that about 20 years ago, I was a correction officer. I worked at the Central Mississippi Correctional Facility, and some of the same things you mentioned, just on an adult level, but still very young men. I also encountered. I remember I had this time where we had a guy come in and he was on my particular ward, and I actually played middle school basketball with this guy. So at this point, I'm only 20 years old, which means he's only 20 years old, still a very young man. And it was just an eye opener to see him, be incarcerated like at such a young age, well, just in general. And at that point, you think about when you're 20 years old, man, like we're still kids,
Yeah,
by
yeah,
all accounts. So now a lot of your youth is bypassed because now you're forced to grow up faster in an environment that's not really conducive to success by all accounts. So you saying that about it being being your charge, man. I really felt that because I do feel like a lot of times, man, mental health is it's kind of looked over, in
yeah,
some respects. So I wanna double back on this because we were talking about the young men you were dealing with. So at my son's school, and I made this in a post the other day. Kids, the level of respect they have for authority figures and adults is it's at a different level than it was when me and you was kids, right? It's not the same. Um, I could be standing on the curb and it's a kid right there. He's just cussing like a sailor. He doesn't care that I'm there. At least I would say kids of our generation, if we did say bad words, we knew we had enough respect for
a
adults when
little,
it
little
comes.
bit more discretion with it, man.
Yeah, we're gonna tighten that up, and we're not gonna say and act a certain way. Not that we were bad or anything like that, but again, like you said, it was a level of discretion. So with that being said, um their kids are having an increasing rate or alarming rate of negative behavior, right? What do you think? What do you think is, I would say, like a major factor in the way kids are behaving nowadays?
We can go in many different directions with this one, bro. But one that sticks out is what's being presented at home. A
Hmm.
lot of I was a counselor in the school system for quite some time. Did a lot of interventions within the school system in the community, and from my experience, I've had parents that basically would charge me up when it comes to disciplining their child or whatnot. So if I can make a call and say, "Hey, LaJohnny in here cuss the teacher out and flip all the desk over," or whatnot, they'd be like, "Well, what did you do? Like, did you take your belt off and did you do this?" And I'm like, "Wait, whoa, hold up, like, this not how this work anymore.
Yeah.
This not how that it happens or whatnot." And then getting to actually sitting down with these parents or whatnot, and a lot of the conversations, man, is like you're now taking on the responsibility of rearing their child in a sense because of what's being presented at home
Hmm.
is not even, you see, it's not even conducive to their learning. These are the things that they're seeing at home. Mom or dad, whoever, the guardian or is responsible for the child, not monitoring what they're watching, what they're listening to, what they're indulging in. And then now you see, and I'll tell folks, I kind of was a product of that too. Well, a child being caught up in grown folk situations, grown folk conversation. It's no more that you eat at the kid table and these are the adults over here. There's no more of that. All right, the adults in here doing adult time. It's a separate area for the children. It's like, no, the children are right there. in the mix and in the blend, seeing, moms twerking on camera, dads and parents or whatever smoking, taking pictures with guns and things and different things. So it's a lot that they're exposed to at home, but then now they're coming into the school systems with it or whatnot. So yeah, you're gonna be that parent that's right there that's providing structure to their child at home or whatnot, and you hear this child up here done they done said the whole NBA YoungBoy lyric or whatever, or Sexy
Hmm.
Red lyric and all of that, and these
Yeah.
are these are our children or whatnot, and be this and MF this and all of that, and just like, oh, like you don't even know your sight words,
Hmm.
but you know the
Oh,
lyrics to these songs and all of that. Like it's crazy and it's scary at the same time. So like that's definitely my take on that right there. What's being introduced to them at home, and what's going on in that environment. Of course they can't help but to come to school displaying those behaviors.
gotcha, gotcha. So, uh, man, that was real deep. That was deep. So you would say, from what I gather, you're saying that a lot of these parents, in terms of like modeling for their children, they're not setting the right example, and therefore this behavior that we're seeing at school and other places is basically a learned behavior because of the environment that they're getting to see, on a consistent basis. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of things are observed. Like children are sponges.
Yeah.
They're going to mimic so much that they see. And I've seen it personally with the children have been and are a part of my life or whatnot. That they're watching you, and that goes back to that. I'd rather see a sermon than to hear one any day part or whatever. Like
Exactly.
that's all. It's a lot of validity in that or whatever. Like thinking of myself when I was a child, I was always that inquisitive one. Like why? Why does it work this way? What's the functionality of it? If you ask your elder why, they ready to come out to help on you or whatever. But it's like I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm actually curious about why, because that's the way my mind works
Hmm.
or whatever. So it's not like you could just tell me, okay, the sky is blue and I'm going along with it. Well, what makes the sky blue or whatnot? Now, on one hand, a lot of our children are that way, but with them being that way and you're not investing healthy and good habits into their lives, then they're going to use those skills and they're going to adopt those negative behaviors. And that's what you see being presented in front of you right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is one that I've been waiting to dive into because we again it's a lot of this stuff. If you guys don't know, this is the me and him. We are good friends, so we have a lot of conversations on mental illness and
Mhm.
being an adult. I wanna double back and I want to talk about childhood trauma.
Mm.
We talked about this the other day, but I saw a post. Uh, Matter of fact, it was yesterday, which let me know this is the conversation we were supposed to have from the get go. And the post it had a picture of a it had a picture of a man looking at a boy in a mirror.
Yeah,
It basically said we must overcome childhood trauma. And they
yes.
just happen to be black. I didn't create the meme or anything like that. It just popped up on my timeline, right? So let's talk about, childhood trauma and its effects on adulthood.
Man, and it's crazy that you pointed that out. I used that in session earlier this morning. I also, while in virtual, I get to fidgeting sometimes and all of that. So I picked up my phone and swiped open and right on Facebook, and they actually have multiple pictures now of like
Mhm.
black women with natural curly hair looking into the little girl, different views of what that looked like, right? Because that everyone has their own story.
Mhm.
Everyone has their sermon that they speak of and all of that. So we're going into what you were saying. It's a lot of adults out here still dealing with childhood trauma. Like we're battling battles beyond our understanding or whatnot. And it actually runs, and I tell people like just imagine you dig beneath the surface near a tree, especially a sturdy tree. It's going to be a lot of digging that you're going to do to find out
Mhm.
how far those roots reach. Those roots are reaching down far for the nutrients and supplements that it needs to grow. which is why it's a sturdy tree and all of that. But with going beneath the surface and seeing the roots of trauma, these are generational barriers that we're fighting. A lot of these things are things that those secrets that Big Mama and them kept about Uncle Ray Ray and Uncle Johnny and them and what Paw used to do and all of that. Once you start uncovering these things, that families are now speaking up on things and all of that. You know, my family, we speaking on a lot of stuff. And the more we speak, the more I'm over here like Tupac on Juice. I mean, Poetic Justice or whatnot when he was listening to his cousin, like listening to the words, it's like, oh man, that's why I'm in this. Like that's why I'm going through this right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is why this is part of it or whatnot. And the childhood trauma piece, I can let's go here with it. There's a questionnaire called the ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences. And this questionnaire is 10 questions. And it basically says, before your 18th birthday, have you experienced X? So, for example, family members going to prison, abuse, neglect in the household, sexual abuse in the household, drugs, alcohol, and things. And they say the higher you score on this questionnaire, the higher your risk are for those silent killers in our community. Diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease, heart attack, Alzheimer's, etc.
Oh wow.
The last time I took this questionnaire, I scored a 9.
And how many questions you said it?
10.
So out of 10,
Out of
you
10,
had
I
nine.
scored a 9. Only one of those questions didn't apply to me. And
And
they
that's
said the higher you score, the higher your risk, the higher you are at risk of suffering from one of these things: depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, those things that we see prevalent in our communities. Or
it's crazy how you could see that correlation between your mental health and your physical health, right? Your physical well being. I didn't even know that. That is definitely something to think about, right?
yeah,
That which kind of give credence to why, if you think about it, right? I'm just using us black folks as example, right? Got a lot of relatives who you know suffered some type of trauma, have diabetes, have heart disease, have high blood pressure, have high cholesterol. So I mean like that is definitely that's crazy. Then but doubling back on the childhood trauma, using myself for example. So the people who are watching, they know I'm from Mississippi. Uh, grew up with a lot of stigmas, still a lot of stigmas going on in Mississippi. Highest illiteracy rate, the highest obesity rate, just not things that we want to be at the top of the list on, right?
hmm
And so, we got a lot of gang violence and drug infested neighborhoods and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I am one of those guys that I did see some things where, when I was a kid that I don't, that I most likely, I shouldn't have been privy to, right? But now on the flip side, I think for me, some of my childhood trauma is also what makes me who I am right now.
mm
Not that I would say I want anybody to have negative experiences, right?
yeah,
But I feel like to a great degree, depending on how bad the extent of it is, I feel like it builds, for me, it built some character, right? Because I got to see at an early age, life isn't just pieces and cream. You're just not going to get up every day and feel great every day. You know what I'm saying? Every day is not going to be the best day ever, right? And I'll do one better. There was this group. I had the opportunity to be in a couple groups that are predominantly, well, majority of it's all men, and these men just come together, express their feelings, a safe space. That's another thing we probably gonna double back on is like not having a safe space to express your feelings. So I'm in this group, and this guy's talking about the troubles he's faced over the last. And this guy, he's older than me, probably in his, I say he's like mid 50s, right? And he talked about the things he experienced when he was a kid, right? He grew up in a home where his dad abused his mom. It was a lot of that going on back and forth. Eventually his dad went to prison, and then And again, I'm not blaming this person because I understand that like a lot of this stuff psychologically, you don't know how it plays a part or what part it will play on somebody later on as they become an adult. We like to think that rationally we know how to just, oh, that's right, that's wrong. We can rationally just pick, right? But there's a lot of, and you know better than I do, there's a lot of this stuff has to do with the chemical imbalances in the person's brain and their body makeup and all these kind of things. And he just went on to say, like, he watched his mom go through that, and then he wound up being that same type of person as an adult. So it just goes back to like that childhood trauma. And I asked him, I said, man, like, have you ever like told anybody that? And he said that was his first time ever telling anybody
Yeah.
in public that he had that going on. But it goes back to this, right? We are also, a lot of us, ashamed to speak out and say, look, I have a problem, I have an issue. Because we don't we care so much about what other people think and how they're gonna view us instead of getting the adequate help that we need.
That's real.
So it's let me read this comment. Tabitha L. Brown, breaking the cycle, thumbs up. I strongly believe in this. Talk about it, air it out, it changes the path. Appreciate you, Tabitha. And it's like me and you have said multiple times, man. That's why I'm gonna tell you, I thank God every day, man, just for allowing me to have this platform to just talk about stuff like these.
Yeah, and it's with that language that you're speaking just there, being able to have that platform. So many of us believe that we have to wait till we make it to a certain point, till we have a certain status or whatnot to be able to tell our stories, to be able to utilize our voice or whatnot. And fact of the matter is, your name is your brand. Your name is your brand, and that's something that I tell everyone that I see, from children, adolescents, young adults, people within 40s, 50s, 60s, etc., whatnot. Your name is your brand. Like, this is your experience. This is your truth. You don't have to apologize for speaking your truth. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to apologize about your feelings or whatnot. You know, be open, be out with it and everything, and tell your story. Back in 2019, I self-published my first book, Ghetto: The Inner City Blues, or whatnot, and basically that was one of the things that inspired me to do that. And within writing it, within telling the story, I'm telling folks, hey, use your voice, stand up on your platform, speak it. You don't have to wait till you die for somebody to tell your story, to say that, hey, Marcus McCoy was a great man. This is a great brother. This is what this brother did. I'd rather sit here and be on this platform and away from the platform or whatever, and tell you, hey, I value you. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the work that we're doing, is going to change these many lives or whatever. Let's keep our foot on the gas pedals or whatever. I would rather do that than memorial service saying that, hey, yeah, this is what this brother did. We don't even have to wait till it get to that point to be able to do that.
But I wonder, but I also, with that being said, I just kind of wonder, like, why do we wait? Like, I'm gonna give you a prime example. I had I was in the United States Army, and I had a soldier, man, God rest his soul, man, named Corey Ward. He was my soldier in Germany back in from 2007 to 2011. Got out of the military, and seemingly, right, because again, like I feel like there's no exact picture of what mental illness looks like. We got
Hmm.
you got all these people say, oh, well, man, you know what? I mean, he looked like he was fine, right? He
Yeah.
was good. You got people like Robin Williams. You got my man Twitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they look out of appearance. They look fine, right? And I'm going back to the Corey Ward. Look fine, right? And then we get a call one day that said, hey, man, you know, took his life. I had a platoon sergeant, Sergeant Davidson, God rest his soul. He's my platoon sergeant in Germany. Uh, Took his life. And I just wonder sometimes, because I feel like we don't necessarily know how to recognize the signs if you're somebody's friend.
Hmm.
Because, a lot of times oh man, he's gonna snap out of it, or she gonna snap out of it, they gonna be good. And I
Yeah.
feel like we not intentionally. So I guess what I'm saying is, for you being in that field, what are some of the not signs that are maybe not easily recognizable that we probably should be paying attention to, that we can help somebody avoid that type of pitfall?
I'm a just as what I was saying with the language thing or whatnot. I'm a challenge you there, and this is a charge for everyone or whatever to say that. Hey, what are the warning signs or whatnot? We just stated there's no image. There's no hey, like I have a feelings chart over here in the corner. This is what happiness looks like. This is what sadness looks like or whatever, right? It's really not a true image to it or whatnot. I would definitely say that charge is to just simply be tapped in with your people or whatnot. You know your people habits.
Mm-hmm.
You know people tendencies and things. You know anybody that really rock with me, that really truly tap in with me day in, day out, text messages or with phone, FaceTime, in person or whatnot, know how I am. How I am. I probably be quiet or whatever and start being goofy with you, or regardless of the situation. It can be dark and we do some goofy and now it's bright or whatever. My people will know when something is out of whack with me. But then with if you really tapped in, it's that spiritual connection. Like, hey, bro, something off right here, man. What's good, bro? Don't give me that I'm alright. Don't tell me that I'm cool. I be man. I'ma see it through or whatever. I don't want to hear that, bro. It's your dog right here. Talk to me.
Yeah,
You
but you
know,
know we would do that in a heartbeat, though,
at
right?
some point, at some point, you can't help. Something gonna happen. The waterworks gonna come out. You gonna break down. It's gonna be like, hey man, look, I've been dealing with this all week. I've been dealing with this for a month or whatnot, and I've been trying to fight it, and I'm losing.
Right.
I'm losing the fight, and that's the one thing right there. Especially as men, we hate to say, hey bro, I'm losing my fight. I'm losing the fight because society and culturally, it's like we have to be strong. We have to be fit. And if we're not strong and if we can't hold it together, then our manhood is questioned. So before I let my manhood be questioned, I'd rather check out.
Yeah. Man, look, that's deep. Let me see. Carl Draw says, we as men are taught not to. It was like what you just said. We are taught not to express our emotions. We have to get past the stigma as it being weak to express our. Yeah, hey, Carl, you hit the
That's it.
nail on the head, brother.
That's
That
it.
is, I think that is one of our biggest barriers, man. Is we don't want to be seen as being weak. But now I'm gonna flip that, right? Because I want to play devil's advocate. Now I do believe in what you said wholeheartedly, but I want
Yeah,
to play devil's advocate.
let's do
We
it.
don't want to be seen as being weak, right? But then how many of us actually have real friends that we can bring that burden to, and they're
Mhm.
not gonna judge us for it? Because that's the other side of the coin.
Yeah,
Is you want to be able to lay that burden down on somebody, but the question is, can you?
yeah,
And what's going to happen when you lay that burden down? Is it going to rest with that person? They're going to try to do everything they can to get you
yeah,
adequate help, or they going to go tell somebody over here, hey man, that dude crazy. Because
yeah.
look, people call somebody crazy in a
Real
heartbeat,
quick, real quick.
instead of saying, you know what, man, because I feel like this. I feel like our charge as just human beings is to do the best we can for one another to make sure we're all are successful in our own right, whatever that looks like, right?
Mhm.
Success for you might not be what is success for me, and vice versa, right? You know what I'm saying? But everybody, I feel like, plays a part ultimately in how successful we're gonna be. Nobody walks through this life alone and is
Yeah,
able to do all these things by this. It does not exist. I don't care how talented you are, how good looking, how much money you have. Nobody does this. Nobody gets far in this life without help. It just doesn't exist.
yeah. We all and we have that. A lot of us had that thought like I don't need nobody. I'm self made. I'm one deep. Like I got this. Like I got this. I did this. I got myself. I grabbed myself by these bootstraps and look at where I am now.
Yeah, or I got it out the mud. Yeah, you
Got
got
out
it out
the
the
mud.
mud, but
Yeah,
somebody helped you. But
you needed
somebody helped
some,
you get it out the mud.
you needed to delegate the task some kind of way, and,
Yeah.
at some point or whatnot. And what you were saying just a moment ago, bro, about laying down those burdens on someone who might get to yapping like a bird in the streets, and now the whole neighborhood know that you over here in the corner dealing with these things or whatnot. Unfortunately, our folks are like that.
Yeah.
Our folks are like that. Before you know it, you done say, hey man, look, this is this and this and that. They done got on the phone like, you heard about your cousin? Man,
He crazy.
your cousin over there. Whoo, I told you about that boy. Or
Yeah.
whatever. And unfortunately we do have family members, friends and stuff of that nature, all of that. But at some point, once we get once we see that or whatever, we know that's not a dependable person.
Right,
So
right.
that's why when we safety plan, so like if I'm going through safety planning with someone who's suicidal and homicidal, one of those questions on there, who's a dependable person you can trust that you can
Mhm.
call and say, hey man, look, I'm going through it right here. I got the gun in my hand right now.
Yeah.
I'm that's where I am. That's gonna really jump into action. That's really gonna be able to jump into action. But bro, unfortunately, there's quite a bit of people who I've safety plan with. Now I've been in this field roughly 10 years now. There's a great amount of people that say, hey, man, it's just me and my kid and the dog. That's it. That's all I have. That's all I have. And those are some interesting stories.
Mhm.
I've got to see so many people with those stories, the level of resiliency, the level of perseverance is remarkable. Because before you know it, while we're talking it, they're like, wait, man, my neighbor Susie, like, I shut her off every day.
Mhm.
I shut her out every day. I'm just ready to get in the house when I get off. I'm just ready to get in the house and then pop over this bottle. But my neighbor Susan, every single day, it never fails. I walk past her every day, and that don't make her not speak. Maybe that's somebody that I can talk to, because
Mhm.
no matter how ugly I am, she smiles to say hey to me every day and say be
Yeah.
blessed or whatnot. And before you know it, that person go talk to that neighbor and that particular friend. And I saw that comment that was there, knowing the differences between friends and association.
Mhm.
Oh, that definitely goes a long way. It definitely goes a long way. And a lot of those people who are deemed strangers, after discussing certain things, you see as a common bond, and now friendship is established. And those people will have your back the long way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I see it's a difference between day one and day one.
Yeah. Absolutely. Look, hey,
Right.
can you hey, you touch on? I want you to touch on this comment that Reginald just
That's my ace dog right there. All
yeah, man. Go on, tap into that comment, man. I want you to lead it
right.
off.
To break the stigma, the conversation must start within your house to the church house. Man. So we I know we probably gonna be touching on this too, but this is important right here. I tell folk all the time to be intentional is to be spiritual or whatnot. And religion's part of it, but just being spiritual, being tapped in with yourself and believing, having faith or whatnot. Not necessarily just saying that, hey, I need to know every word in the Bible and I'm cured. That's not what we're saying.
Mhm.
Being able to believe and trust in something, to be able to believe and trust in something, and trust in someone, trust in yourself or whatnot. That's a starting point. You know, we have stigmas behind because generationally we built up these barriers, and we say that these barriers were for our protection. But the truth of the matter is, behind those barriers, we're actually safeguarding. was hurting us. I told someone in session not long ago, it's almost as if I'm trying to kick your door in, trying to save you from the killer, the person that has a gun to your head trying to kill you. I'm trying to kick the door in, trying to save you. It's like, wait, no, he's my killer. You can't do this. He's
Mm,
mine.
that's deep.
You know, and the person I said that to, they really stopped and they said, wait, you're telling me I've been protecting my trauma instead of really protecting myself? Now we can break down those walls. Now we can break down those barriers. Now we can eradicate this stigma to say, hey, this is what's been going on generationally when we're protecting the predators within our homes, the predators within our community, the predators within our churches, the predators within our systems, period.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to this comment. Liz says childhood trauma affects black and brown more than any other community. As long as we break the cycle and know that our trauma does not define us, it's just a small part of our story. That's
Mm,
definitely deep. I'm gonna touch on that too, and
yeah,
then you can hit it you want to that. So, true story. I said true story. Sound like I'm about to tell a lie, right? I'm just playing. Hey, sometimes humor is healthy too, man. That's one thing I learned is like, man, sometimes you gotta laugh. So, uh, I was actually last month. It was last month, about a month and a half ago. I was a guest speaker at the National Alliance on Mental Illness Walks. Right, it was a kickoff dinner where people got in there and they told their story, where they were coming from, their experience with mental illness, the people they lost, and things of that nature. Right. So I got diagnosed with PTSD in 2005. Right.
mm,
And people that serve with me and people that's in the army, everybody they know the story, right? But we never ever just talk about it publicly, right? Like my inner circle, yeah, the type of things I face and stuff that's going on with me. So it was the first time I ever, as a guest speaker, I got to tell my story. And I'm not gonna lie, man, it really, and it's not that I was scared, but it really felt like a relief, like to just put it out there in the air. Because in 2005, I really cared about what people thought in terms of saying, openly saying, hey, man, I have PTSD, right?
mm,
Now, all these years later, I mean, we talking about almost 20 years ago. Now, I feel like it's just like you said earlier, like this is, man, like I'm obligated to do this because maybe, maybe my story stop somebody else or help somebody else or aid somebody else in their own struggle, right? It kind of goes back to we say about, you're saying that there's no particular image of what mental illness or somebody going through that type of adversity looks like. You could be fine today, and then the world could be falling in around you tomorrow, right? That's just, I mean,
is
that's
not
nature.
even tomorrow, like within the next 10 minutes or whatever or whatnot,
Mhm.
man. And we share that commonly. 2011, I was diagnosed with PTSD. Um, and I tell people that same thing, with just exactly what you were saying. It was like I was in that dark corner, dealing with it, as they say, fighting those demons or whatever, in that corner by myself with it and all of that. But now it's like I could say, yes, I'm a licensed professional counselor that's fighting a fight or whatnot. I'm not perfect by far. I'm not perfect by far or whatnot. And quite a bit of people come in here and be like, man, like, bro, thank you. Like you not that typical TV counselor.
Mhm.
Hit me. You get me, you understand me, and all those different things or whatnot. But now we're able to basically utilize the platform to save lives. To help somebody. It could be another soldier. You know, one situation that you walk. Being in the armed forces and things. Could be somebody from the inner city or whatever. Somebody from a rural area.
Mhm.
It's a lot of, we got a lot of that that's going on. It's not just the inner city issue. It's a lot of rural areas that can't get the help that they need or whatnot. They don't have the resources within arm's reach. to be able to deal with these issues.
Hey, this random man, but I knew this was gonna be a good conversation, man. Like this is
Hey,
we tapping in. We
that
hey
is me,
man,
man.
we breaking down some layers. And I'm gonna tell you, so it made me think about something else. And it does relate to mental health in some aspects. And it just I guess it just depends on how you view it, right? What do you think about, and maybe you have had some friends, or maybe not, and maybe you can speak to it, is have you ever had friends that they feel like, and this could be from childhood trauma, it could be from a multitude of things, right? But they feel like they're not enough,
Mm,
not good enough to do this, not smart enough, or all the things that are terrible in life consistently happen to them. And it's like they can. It's like if I get one to take 2 steps forward, I take 5 steps back.
yeah,
Or if I triumph today, I fail tomorrow.
yeah,
Like, what do you think about that?
man. So that little kid in the mirror, that little kid in the mirror had dreams and aspirations. And that little kid in the mirror, imagination beyond this world.
Mm-hmm.
And that little kid in the mirror with that imagination, it's like, hey, mommy, look what I can do. Mommy over there dealing with her stuff. Marcus, I ain't got time for that. Go get the hell out of my face. Go back to your room. Like you extra. You always doing the most. Don't nobody want to see that. That was everything to you. In your head, that was you was on Broadway, and all you wanted was your mama to cheer you on. She stiffed on you, and that shattered your world. So now you in your head like, man, like it was everything to me, but my mama didn't think so. So dang, it must not be nothing then.
Mm-hmm.
My dreams must not. Man, this stuff ain't real. This ain't real. I need to get to what's real or whatnot, right? So a lot of children dreams are shattered. A lot of children's voices are muted, and they're kind of forced into conforming into being something that they're not.
Oh man.
And now you have adults that's unsure which direction to walk on this path, and you have adults that has the ability to create a cure for a medical issue, but they working at Walmart just
They
because I'm able. At least I can put a roof over my head, but that's not good enough.
mm-hmm.
That's not good enough. So it, that can be a whole conversation on its own right there. But literally, I just finished telling someone that, and I was kind of that person too, or whatnot, that was afraid to speak up on passions and likes and hobbies and things because I didn't want nobody telling me, man, that stuff lame, bro. Man, man. You really feminine for thinking that or whatever, and all of that. It's many things that happens. Family, friends, and all of that that turn your dreams into something else. But that's one of the things that I see right there.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask this. We got another question from like a different channel, right? And
Mhm.
I'm gonna ask it because it kind of just popped up, and then you just obviously share your thoughts on it. All right, so it says calling all mothers with teenagers, right? How do you deal with teens who act rebellious?
Mm.
We finna go in on that one. If you
Mm.
if you ask me that old school way, now I'm just playing. Can't do it the old school way. But if it was my mama, look, hey, mama was finna get that butt. You know what I'm talking about? But this is a new wave. You can't do that because kids,
Yeah.
those rebellious kids, you'll end up possibly having to fight those kids because that's how kids are now these days.
So with things like that, which is why I love what we're doing right here, right? And we need to continue this, and there's other groups, just as you said, that I participated in, and we're trying to find a way how we could get part two, three, four, five, and six book because
Mm-hmm.
y'all, we just can't spend one episode, one segment, a season with these issues right here because these are generational barriers that we're fighting. These are things that's been going on for generations, and now is becoming, you know, seen in the limelight or whatever because our technological advancement and things and all of that. So when it comes to that, is that's really subjective. It's that really depends on the situation. But when it comes to that, my thing is, stay tapped in with your kids and whatnot, like stay involved. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we have a lot of parents, a lot of folks that it's that get out my face, go to your room. I've talked to a lot of parents like, hey, what are y'all's leisure time? And the kid look at me like, yeah, okay. She finna come up with a story. She finna come up with a
To
story.
make up something right here, right in front of your
And,
face.
and it shows, bro. It shows when you trying to come into this office and fake the funk with me because I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at nonverbals. Like I'm probably looking at you. I'm looking at your kid over there. Like
Like, yeah, that's what we doing. That's what we
that's what
doing.
I'm doing. That's why I'm here now because you can't even be real with yourself. You telling me to do something that you can't do yourself
Mm-hmm.
or whatnot. And there's many different directions that we can go into that, but when it comes to like trying to challenge rebellion, we tell a lot of folks, pay attention to your house. Pay attention to your house and pay attention to what's going on and whatnot, because the warning signs are there. Those red flags are there. We can understand those red flags with our friend Susan down the street with what her man got going on, but your house not in order or whatnot. So, I'm just telling folks, and I'm not calling nobody out, not not trying to trigger nobody, but
Yeah, yeah.
ultimately pay attention to your home or whatnot. See what's going on with your kids, with the grades, with what's going on with them socially. Um, what's going on with them mentally. Ask those questions, be involved with them or whatever. Have dinner, have playtime, movie time or whatever. Often, especially with children, I get so much in session from children during playtime. I know your whole bitch. I know who done been to your house. I'm sitting here playing Uno with Lil John.
That's real though.
Lil John playing Jenga and be like, yeah, my other uncle came the other day.
That's real. That's real. Let me ask you another question because
Yeah.
I think it's something I was reading. So obviously you're the professional, so I want to get your take on it. Uh, what are these holistic approaches to mental health,
Mm.
or holistic approaches that you would recommend in your professional opinion for mental illness? Because I was reading on the internet, as I was searching some different things yesterday, and I was like, I'm gonna make sure I ask you today,
Yeah.
as we prepare for the show.
What did you see when it comes to holistically? Because so many people, those are like those bait words or whatever, right?
Mhm.
You know, and we're all, and especially with how the environment and the culture of mental health is shifting. For us, the moment that we hear a certain word, it triggers us to take us to a certain place or whatever, kind of like the algorithm with the hashtags or whatnot, right?
Mhm.
So, but people use those words loosely.
You're right.
What's your perception of a holistic approach?
So the thing that I saw was more of like meditation, and things of that nature, which it's kind of, I don't know, kind of a little gray area for me because I have my own bias and beliefs on mental illness. You know what I'm saying? So it was more stuff like that, just meditation, being deep in thought. I even saw some stuff that had to do with like yoga and
Mhm.
things of that nature. So
Excuse me. Um, yeah, that's on the money with that. So, kind of a way that I practice, I emphasize in wellness. So, quite often time that in session, no matter which area people come from, I can probably 8 times out of 10 utilize the wellness cycle
okay.
as a
Oh
base,
yeah,
as a
please
baseline,
tell us about please tell us about that because I have no idea what that is.
as a baseline or a foundational piece to kick off intervention. So the wellness cycle, better known as the 8 dimensions of wellness. Um, these are 8 dimensions of your life, of your being: spiritual, physical, mental, social, occupational, financial, environmental, and intellectual.
So it's almost like Maslow's hierarchy of needs in a way.
In a way, in a way. So with Maslow, it says that hey, um, basically Maslow is that pyramid or whatever. So at the base, you have your physiological needs, um, going all the way up to you reaching self actualization. And it says that it's impossible for you to get to that point if your needs are not being met.
Hmm.
Long story short, how can I focus on anything wellness based if my needs are not basic needs are not getting met or whatever? I can't really do what I need to do in survival mode. And you have a lot of folks that's around here that's, as a friend of mine said, we're still trying to survive. We're still living those, we're surviving the things we survived already.
Woo. Well, that's a deep one.
We're going about life surviving what we survived already, which means that we're leaning on our trauma and our transgressions in the here and now, and that's hindering us from being able to reach progression
So
or
we're
what.
being prisoners of the past.
That's it right there. So every time, and I had a homie, he made a post about it, but a lot of people be joking about it. It was like, man, got caught cheating, and I started crying about being adopted
That's crazy.
or whatever. But then you sit down and you hear these, folks like, yeah, like, why'd you do that? You know, officer buddy of mine was like, hey, he was arresting somebody and he was for DWI or whatever, led him on a pursuit. And when he caught up to him, he arrested him. He was like, man, like, why'd you run? He started crying and said, man, my daddy left me, bro. And we laughed, but then part of it, I'm like, bro, like that goes back into that battle. That goes back into that battle or whatnot that we battling. But going back to the wellness cycle or whatnot, um, that these are the 8 dimensions of that makes up your well-being. And mental health isn't just the only thing. Culturally, our folks, oh baby, just pray about it. You'll be all right. That's not the only solution.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the only thing.
Hey, look, or throw some Robitussin on it.
Look here, ginger ale and crackers. And the price is right. But I ain't been to the doctor all year. We ain't gonna go there. But yeah, we need to go there. But those are just two components. Like saying we have your spiritual, physical, and mental. I always start with those three. Those are three heavy ones right there. Those are three heavy ones right there. Again, to be intentional is to be spiritual. I have to have a sense of belief. If I don't believe in me,
How can you expect anybody else to believe? Yeah, how can you expect anybody else to believe in you?
what results am I gonna get? Like, oh man, like you did that, man. All right. I ain't really, you know. Ah man, you should be doing this. Nah, I'm good. I'm good where I am. Bro, you been a greeter at Walmart for 15 years, bro. You good at doing like, is this what you want to do? I mean, hey, I'm cool. I'm cool where I am.
Mm-hmm.
But really not. But really not. So I challenge a lot of folks that come in front of me to tap in with yourself and look into the 8 dimensions of wellness. And in each area, identify where you're being negligent to yourself.
Y'all hear that, people? Y'all hear that?
And
Where are you being negligent to? Man, that's so multi-layered right there.
mhm. And that is going to be our to-do list. Those are going to be the things that we're to tackle or whatnot. And that intentional work, man, you know what I'm saying? Like to this day, like saying that's something that I practice, and when I come about it, I'm like, I be surprised at myself.
Mm-hmm.
Man, like I didn't know this about myself, or man, I didn't know I had this in me. And you know that. So when you speak of like the meditation and things and all of that, yeah, that's that spiritual. That's that spiritual component. I got to be able to tap in with me, and you know that tap in means something to us.
Yeah, yeah. You already know.
That tap in means something to us, but I utilize that on a greater level because I need to be able to do that with myself. A lot of folks are afraid of silence, that darkness with themselves, so they try to fill that void with people. But maybe the quality people that they're trying to fill that void with is not conducive to what they need. They're afraid to spend their time with themselves
Yeah.
and really get to know themselves. Get to face that person in the mirror. To be able to see that wounded little kid in the mirror. They don't know how to be affectionate. They
And
don't
they
know
don't
how
know
to
how to be, a lot of people don't know how to be vulnerable either. That's another.
that's
That's a
that goes into that. That
yeah.
goes into that. I turn my feelings off.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta turn my feelings off or whatever. But that's just that mask you putting on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But every now and then you gotta take that Halloween mask off to take breath. And
And say this is who I am.
it's sweaty behind there. It's nasty.
But you gotta face it.
You
I
got
feel like we don't move forward until we address all those the good, the bad, and the ugly. Those parts of us that nobody else sees. The vulnerability, the insecurities, all that stuff that we consider to be negative. Like, I feel like we need to, what I'm saying, I'm speaking for everybody, because it's, this mental health, man, this is an ongoing thing. It's like it's not one big win and then then you good. Like this is a cycle. You gotta keep on fighting for your mental health and your mental well-being.
it's a lifelong journey, and that is something that I was trained. Y'all, this is I'm gonna throw this in here. I was the only black male in my cohort at Sam Houston, and so many of my professors there. I had professors. I started my journey at Bethune Cookman. We're getting my master's, transferred back to Sam Houston, but I've talked to professors at the U and everything in Miami. And they let me know from then, like, you are a unicorn in this field, and you better take your butt up there and get whatever you need to get so you can shine for your people. So you can shine for your people or whatnot, right? So these professors, and specifically at Sam Houston, was like, um, before I get started, I want to let you know that this is a lifelong journey. This is not something that you can just come into for a session or two and you start feeling better and you say, I'm good and I can live on, because we just opened up a door that's been locked for generations. We've just unearthed some roots that your great grandparents didn't even see, or probably haven't been seen since then. We've just lifted up a rug that has a pile of you know what under it. This is where the work. This is where the work starts. So don't prematurely jump off, jump off the porch, jump off the ship, thinking that you well, because you're gonna find yourself in a place. It's scary. It's
Absolutely.
scary.
Absolutely. So, man, look, I wanna, hey, bro, we gotta run this back
Yeah, we
couple
got.
of times, man. Look, yeah, man, because like you said, bro, it's not a, man. I look, it's so many other questions running through my head right now. It just, it's like you said, it's not enough. You can't do this in one sitting, two sitting, three. Like this, we probably need to just go and turn this into a mental wellness series. You know what I'm saying?
It got to be like I said. I done tapped in. Like I said, I done did 2 episodes on one other platform already, and they like, bro, like the season over, but look here, we gonna have to run this back or whatever. Like I did this with a couple other bros as well, and they like, man, look, still to this day offline, they be like, hey, dog, da, 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 da. Like
Hey,
we
you know
keep
what you
it
need to
going.
do? Dad, I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do, man. We gotta put a panel. We're gonna put a panel together with some hitters. And that's what we're gonna tackle. We're gonna tackle mental illness. And all the intricate parts, I think that'll be great, man. And then especially too, like with the geographics of where we at, right? So I'm in West Texas. You know what I'm saying? You in the Houston area. You know, we got friends in Dallas. We got friends. We can make this. We can make it basically make this one big triangle or whatever type of shape. It could be a hectagon, an
Yeah,
octagon, whatever,
how
rectangle,
yeah,
and put it together, man. Because like you said, there's not enough, man. It's not enough time, like in one sitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to table this as this part one on my platform, and there will be a part two, and so on and so forth. But I definitely want to, man, thank you for coming on here, man. I could tell, man, by looking at the comments, man, and the feedback that people was. Oh, here we go, right here. That people was really, man, they was really feeling what was going on. Okay, Terry Dingle says, appreciate this episode. It was very informative and needed for our community to continue to grow in strength. I appreciate that, my brother.
definitely appreciate that, good brother.
But it will before we get out of here, man, I mean, you've already left them with, man, a bunch of stuff to think about and consider. But is there anything else you want to leave the listeners before we get out of here?
We, man, like I said, we done tapped into to so much, man. You know, it's a multiple setting conversation, but it's a conversation worth having.
All
You
right.
know, I definitely want to lead the folks with being able to have the courage to be you. You know, to be yourself. So many people try to reinvent themselves to fit the mold of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I like to leave my people with in sessions or whatnot and beyond, you know, you can't utilize someone else's life and success as a measuring rod for yours.
Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo.
Um, it's nothing wrong with having a role model. There's nothing wrong with having inspiration of a person. But where we go wrong is we try to. I need to do exactly what Marcus McCoy doing
Mm-hmm.
instead of me being Thaddeus Told. There's nothing wrong with me saying, "Hey, brother, like I want to pick your brain on something. What would you do in this situation?" And getting that advice or whatever from your folk or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. But I should not be trying to do everything as Marcus McCoy because I don't know what Marcus McCoy does behind closed doors. I don't know what Marcus McCoy battled with behind closed doors. As much we can have conversations every day, and I still won't have the whole picture.
True,
I
true.
still won't know the whole picture or whatever. And that's the piece of the formula that people you'll be missing. So There's nothing wrong with having a guidance. There's nothing wrong with seeking assistance. There's nothing wrong with seeking professional aid and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to do the work. So tap in, get the work done, and have courage to be yourself always.
Where can people find you at, Instagram, Facebook, all those good things. I definitely, for those who are, might not, being their first time seeing you, man, I definitely want those to be able to reach out to you and get some of this good advice, man, come to your practice, things of that nature. Where can they find you at?
Most definitely, most definitely. So you can find me on Instagram at honorable.dad. That's my personal Instagram, or at discerning underscore minds underscore consulting. That's my business platform. Um, Also have my business website, discerningmindsconsulting.com. People could go on and see the services, see the other podcast episodes and conversations I've had with previous friends, even be able to book a session, book a consultation with me and things. All of that is featured on my site. And I even have a Psychology Today verification badge on there. So if you click that badge at the bottom of the page, it'll take you to my Psychology Today, and you can see all of my specialties and things. Also important for the people to know this is a group practice. So we've talked about that we need more black people, more black men doing this. Guess what? We're gonna get this. You're gonna see that right here at Discerning Minds. Just signed on another qualified mental health professional, um, who's close to graduating with her degree and going to take her licensure exam before graduation. So by the time she graduate, she gonna have boots on the ground, ready to roll. And we got a couple other people, including a very special friend from Omega Psi Phi who's actually in the program that's getting ready to embark on this journey. So everything that we ever talked about that we needed, we offer it right here at Discerning Minds.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So I guess for me, I'm trying to see what do I want to say to bring this to a close. Um, that is mentioned being comfortable with being you. He also mentioned earlier in the show that at some point you got to take that Halloween mask off and you got to look at yourself for who you actually are. So I would say good, bad, right, wrong, and different. Whoever you are, the people listening, if you're struggling with something, especially if it has something to do with mental illness, don't be too prideful and afraid to go get help. I mean, I know a lot of people say it's pretty simple, but I know it's not pretty simple to go ask for help with something that you're ashamed of, right? But what I am saying is man, think about the possibilities that could happen if you do go ask for that help or you get that help, right? I feel like it's only up from that point. One of the major things one of my friends Jamar always says is the hardest part about anything is starting. So if you have not started on this journey to better your mental health and your mental wellness, man, I'm I'm asking you from the bottom of my heart, as a guy who's been on this journey for almost 20 years, has lost people that are near and dear to me due to suicide and things of that nature. I'm asking you, like Thaddeus said, go ahead and tap in with yourself, man. Like if nothing else, don't do it for your children, don't do it for your mother, don't do it for your father, do it for you. Because at the end of the day, you gotta live for you. Regardless of all those other things you got going on, you gotta live for yourself. And we are living for today and not tomorrow. But that concludes our show. I want to say again, thank you, brother, for being on here, man. Like I said, we're gonna run that back a couple times. Um, but for those that are watching, make sure you tap into the next episode of Real Talk with Marcus McCoy. It'll be next month. I air every first Monday of the month. But until then, El Paso, until next time,